right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, welcome back. It's Thursday, you know what that means. Week 9, Thursday night football. And we got Green Bay versus the Niners. Uh, and COVID strikes yet again. Uh, now you got, you got Brandon Ayuk now on the COVID list. Trent Williams. Niners without Debo Samuels again. I think he's even on the list, to be honest with you. Um, Green Bay's got some guys on the COVID list. They're banged up in the running back area there. COVID thing is really no joke. Uh, like I said yesterday, now they want to wear masks on the sidelines. Everybody's got to wear a mask and interact. You think if this was implemented in week 1, you maybe think this would be contained a bit better. And I think the NFL dropped the ball as far as player safety. Uh, one of the McCourty brothers came out, I forget which one, he said the NFL don't care about player safety. Uh, and apparently it's true, because, you let a guy play with no test result on Sunday, and now look what happens. Now it's running rampant everywhere. Even in Detroit now, Stafford's on the list. But they're saying that he could play Sunday. He's saying he doesn't feel any symptoms anymore, which is weird because, people don't even know they have it for 2 weeks, from what I've read. And then he was put on the list, I think, like yesterday morning, and today he doesn't feel any of the symptoms. So I don't know. If I'm the NFL, I tell Detroit, listen, you can't play. You gotta learn from these other mistakes. You just gotta do it. A lot of other things football wise. Jerry Jones in Dallas came out and said DiNucci looked lost out there Sunday against the Eagles. You think Jerry Jones? You really think? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that one out. When he's slinging sidearm shots friggin' nowhere, trying to be Mahomes and Uncle Rico combined there. So he got benched, and now you're going to go to either Cooper Rush, who I don't think's touched the field in like 2 years. You're going to go with this Garrett Gilbert, whatever his name is. It's friggin' unknown, so like, you really stand no chance. It's just comical how far Dallas has fallen. If Jerry Jones was smart, I think he has to let go of some of the roles there. You can't be the owner, GM, vice president, ball boy, water boy, jockstrap washer. The guy's got so many titles. It's unbelievable. He's like Sam H. Rothstein in Casino, where he keeps switching titles. I, you know, I, to be honest with you, Dallas, we could go out there with our practice squad and probably still beat them with what you're going to put on the field. Again, no, I don't take anything away from Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's been a decent wide receiver for him, rookie year, of course. You got to be fearful of him at least. But honestly, I think they're going to try to just continue with the run game as per the usual, because I wouldn't trust Cooper Rush or this Garrett guy, slinging balls down the friggin' field. It's going to be interception central out there. Couple other things, and this one's interesting. Um, with Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers trying to get Will Fuller, and the Texans are trying to treat this guy like he's friggin' Jerry Rice. Like they wanted the moon and then some for him. Listen, Will Fuller does not command that much in a trade whatsoever. And yeah, Green Bay let Aaron Rodgers down. They let him down in the draft. Listen, and again, I get it. You got to take his successor in this draft. You possibly could have did it in this draft coming up, but I like the move where they did it. Gettleman probably could have learned from that one. You take a quarterback that is somewhat decent or known later when he is available, as opposed to taking him with the 6th pick, and now if you don't win another game the whole year, you'll get the 2nd pick and draft another quarterback and get rid of Daniel Jones. Because that's what Gettleman will probably do, because he's the king of getting rid of people. Case in point, Odell Beckham. There's other guys that now hit the COVID list. Golston in Tampa's one. The Texans had one. Colts have a couple of staff members. So a lot of these teams now, they're working virtually, which is really going to make it hard come Sunday when they got to play. Ravens got a ton of guys on the COVID list. Judon being one of them. Patrick Queen's another guy. But then again, that's your own fault for letting a guy play and his results weren't conclusive at the time. Is how I'm going to call it. And then I read an article. I partially read it with J.J. Watt and his future with the Texans. Listen, get the hell out, get out, and I'll tell you why. You say you don't want to be part of a rebuild. What do you think's happening around you? What do you think is happening around you? They were going to trade Fuller. Did they bring anybody in? Bill O'Brien drafted Deshaun Watson's biggest weapon and Hopkins and got back David Johnson, who hasn't stayed healthy for the past like 3-4 seasons or however long he's been in the league. He had a great rookie year, and then after that, okay. So they don't know what they're doing over there in Houston. JJ, just get out. Just get out. Listen, come to Pittsburgh. And as you can see, the shirt, that's right. I had to go and do it. I had to go and get it. Right? Had to go and get it. You're a Steeler fan and don't know where to get it, PittsburghSteelerClothing.com. I think it's a site, otherwise it's pgh.com, whatever it is. I always forget because I freaking follow so much Steeler stuff and buy so much Steeler stuff from all different websites. I had actually somebody ask me on Twitter where I get all my mini helmets from. TSE shop, which I highly recommend. Everything's authenticated, and it's no BS. It's fast shipping. I literally order something on a Sunday, I get it by like Tuesday, Wednesday, the fastest. It's just insane. And the shipping surprisingly is cheap too. Other places you get in 2-3 days want you to pay a car payment for that. Not with them though. But now to get back to the football topic at hand. Interesting that the Niners released this Darrell Pettis, who he's a decent wide receiver, and the Giants picking him up now tells the story because obviously Golden Tate wasn't at practice yesterday. He was pretty much punished for things his wife tweeted out, how he vented his frustration in his role with the team and his touchdown celebration. All that factored into him being sent home from practice. And don't be surprised, Giants fans, if Golden Tate's released after this week. Just don't be surprised. But then again, Golden Tate's got to understand, he's got to look at his offensive line, not protecting the quarterback. You also have to understand that you have other wide receivers. If Golden Tate's going to be double teamed, you're going to throw it to Slayton, you're going to throw it to Ingram, you're going to throw it to Sterling. So you got to understand that. And this is probably the reason why Golden Tate has gotten moved from team to team to team so many times, traded, released, whatever the situation. It's probably because of things like this. He vents his frustration in his role because God forbid, because God forbid somebody else has a good game. And, now you got your wife on Twitter. Freaking first off, your wife probably don't even watch you play. She probably never watched one of your games. So, and if she did, she would probably know that your roles on a lot of teams, you've put up some big numbers from time to time. So, all right, enough, just enough. And then Chicago, yesterday I talked about how they got to go back to Trubisky. Well, now you can't. Shoulder injury, something with his labrum and rotator cuff. They're saying a few weeks. Listen, get the surgery and just heal up and come back next year. That's what you got to do. When it comes to shoulder injuries, you don't mess around with that. It's the same thing with a knee injury, a back injury. Listen, just get the surgery, heal up, and you'll be back in no time. I wouldn't say better than ever, but I would say you'll just be back. And now you got to ride it out with Foles, which I now see that this will be, the Bears will now end up with a losing record unless there's some spark that happens or, some prayer is answered by a Bears fan where they run the table and, make it to the playoffs. Which, if you wanted to make it to the playoffs, then why would you release Teddy Ginn, which is beyond me, because he's good on special teams. He's a decent wide receiver who still has good speed. If I'm the Jets, I would take interest in him. It's not going to cost you much. You need another offensive weapon. And then on the Jets side of it, what's his face? Sam Darnold in practice today. Some with his shoulder again, which is why I'm saying just sit out the rest of the year. Quinnen Williams, who they wanted like a first and a second round for, he's hamstring injury for him. Gase comes out and says that they'll both be ready for Sunday. Why Why would you want to be ready? Not for Sunday, for Monday. Why would you want to be ready? Why? Why? You're gonna go 0-9. Let's face it. You're gonna go 0-9. The season's lost for you anyway. Why are you gonna go out there, especially Darno, and risk further injury? Why are you gonna do that? You better off just saying, listen, coach, your shoulder don't feel good. Sorry, I can't play this week. And if Adam Gase has an issue with it, well, Adam Gase got an issue with it. And again, Adam Gase is the issue with this team. And Joe Douglas is, I'm sorry, you're kind of a moron for saying that he's part of the solution. How's somebody who's part of the problem part of the solution? That never works out well. Never works out. You got to move on from Gase. And then you came out. I said it yesterday. You came out. Darno is your quarterback for the future. But if you have the number one pick, then who are you picking? You're going to pass up on Trevor Lawrence? And I get Trevor Lawrence, everybody's saying, and I even said it, he doesn't want to play here. All the reports say it. Social media says it. Every football outlet in America says it. But the way he comes here and plays for the Jets, and again, I'm going to say it, you got to get Dabo to leave Clemson. That's the selling point to get Trevor to. Well, Trevor's going to come out regardless at this point. But to get Trevor to be on the Jets, you have to take Dabo, okay? You have to take Dabo and bring him to the Jets. And you have Trevor Lawrence. And, now you got your quarterback of the future that you guys are clamoring about. And that's the only way he's going to do it. Let's just be honest. If you're a Jets fan, I'm sorry, you just have to agree. I'm sorry, you have to agree with it. It's the only way Trevor plays for you guys. Because why is he going to come to a team with no weapons? And I get, and again, Joe Douglas has got 80-something million coming off the books this year. They already shredded cap space when they made some deals. But it's the choice in weapons is what you can't just sit there and go, well, we got 80 million, we're just going to spend it wherever and get friggin' Joe Blow from down the block because he had one good game 5 years ago. Okay, no, you can't do that. When you're rebuilding your team, you got to be smart. And for the Jets, they're going to have a lot of selling points to get any free agent to come here. Some of the selling point is just the money in general. As you've seen over the course of years where I've questioned free agents going to the Jets. I'd be like, why would you go there? But then when you look at the contracts, like, they're giving you $5 million, overpaying you by $20 million. Oh, okay, I'd take it too. But they got to be smart if they're going to rebuild. And listen, Jets fans, this rebuild ain't going to take one season. This is going to be at least a 2-3 year rebuild. Even in Houston, J.J. Watt can say he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, but guess what? You're smack dab in the middle of it. But you don't have a quarterback problem in Houston. What you have is everything else around you problem. You don't have that you don't have that offensive weaponry that scares other teams. I'm sorry, nobody's scared of Brandon Cooks. Nobody's scared of Will Fuller. Nobody's scared of David Johnson running the ball. I'm sorry, they're just not. What did Houston's offense do against the Steelers, really? They really didn't do much as far as I remember. I mean, I could be wrong, but as far as I remember, you guys didn't really do nothing. And JJ really didn't do much in that game either. And, because somebody retweeted the article and then somebody wrote, well, I'm surprised JJ even lasted a season. And yeah, you could take the knocks on him for being injury-ridden at times. But he's another one. His prime is just wasted in a no-win situation. I mean, that's just a team that they would go 11-5, 10-6, and win the AFC South and whatever. But it's just not going to happen this year. Bill O'Brien pretty much went in there and he pretty much destroyed your whole team by making some of the dumbest moves anybody's ever seen. I mean, you trade DeAndre Hopkins for a subpar running back at best. You know what you could have got for DeAndre Hopkins if you drafted him anywhere else? You would have had a first round and a second round. You would have had probably another player from that team that you're trading him to along with their picks. I think Bill O'Brien he didn't want to give DeAndre Hopkins the contract, is from all the stories I've read. And he was going to elect for free agency anyway. But, But for JJ to come out and say he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, you got to be blind because you are part of that rebuild. You're smack dab in it. You're not going to be. Listen, and JJ's got to understand this. And I get he's been the focal point of that team for years now. But JJ again, call your brother up. Say, TJ, listen. What do I got to do? What do I got to do to rock the black and gold, bro? What do I got to do? It's simple. Just ask for your friggin' release. That's it. Ask for your release. Ask for your release. Or demand to be traded in the offseason. But you got to do something. Get the hell out of there. Just get out of there. Just get out of there. You're wasting your prime in a no-win situation. Deshaun Watson, the same exact thing. You're wasting your prime in a no-win situation. The kid got his payday, and it was deserved, but wrong team to do it with. Wrong team. That rebuild's going to take like 3-4 years, to be honest with you. It just really, that's just what it comes down to. It's just really going to come down to that. It's just, for Watt to say that he's not that he doesn't want to be part of a rebuild, but he is. The Packers didn't get any weapons, and the Packers were, from what I read, were aggressive in trying to get weapons. Just that, the Texans wanted more than what Fuller was worth, so Green Bay didn't pull the trigger. And you know what? You got to be smart when it comes to that. You can't just make a move just to make a move to appease everybody. If you don't want to get fleeced on the deal, or you don't want to get robbed. You don't want none of that. Like, and some I heard like they wanted like a first and a second. I think one report was, another one was like they wanted a second and a third. Get out of here with that. Will Fuller ain't even worth a third and a fourth. He's worth like a fifth and a sixth at best. At best, a fifth and a sixth. And that's just being nice. If I was a GM, I'd only really give you a six rounder for him. And with that, with Green Bay, what do they do in the off season? Obviously Rodgers going into next year is going to be the quarterback. We all know that. It's not going to be Jordan Love yet. Because Rodgers is showing you he has no signs of declining yet. He just shows you he has no signs of it. The guy's really going out there and he's playing MVP football like Russell Wilson is in Seattle. The season ends today, Russell Wilson wins the MVP. He just does. But, with Green Bay, the one thing that Aaron Rodgers has always been good at doing that only so many few quarterbacks have been able to do, and this is what puts him like in the top 10 quarterbacks in my generation of quarterbacks, is that he's made no-namers relevant. He's made them relevant. I mean, even Tom Brady's done it. I mean, did you know who Julian Edelman was before friggin' Brady started throwing him 10 passes a game and he's putting up 120 and 2 touchdowns? No, you didn't know who the hell Julian Edelman was. I bet you also don't know that Julian Edelman was actually a quarterback at, I believe, Kent State. So, a guy who realized he couldn't have made it in the NFL, and this is something that Tim Tebow should have did. He should have switched positions, and that's what Edelman did. He went from a quarterback to a wide receiver. And then speaking of that talk, with Edelman, with the whole, he's a Hall of Famer. It's borderline. It's borderline for many different reasons. I'm not a Patriot fan, so I couldn't. I only see what I see like in highlights, or when the Steelers play him, or when the Giants play him, or the Jets play him. I wouldn't, if I was a sports writer, I don't put him in the Hall of Fame. I don't think he's done enough to warrant that. But the only reason why he gets in is because he played with Brady. It's going to be based on name recognition and association. Everybody knows Edelman, Brady. That's what you know. And the same could be true for even like a Jordy Nelson, who retired, like a year or two ago. Rodgers, Jordy Nelson. That's how Jordy Nelson probably gets in at some point. Now, I'm not saying Edelman doesn't get in ever, but somebody told me he gets in first ballot, no, he doesn't get in first ballot. He does not get in first ballot. No way, no way, no way. No, unless you're putting up Randy Moss numbers, Jerry Rice numbers, Larry Fitzgerald numbers, you're not getting in. You're not getting in first ballot. You're not getting in on your first try. I say maybe second, third, fourth try he gets in, but he's not getting in on the first. There's no way. That's like saying, that's like saying Tim Tebow's getting to the Hall of Fame first ballot. What did you do? You didn't do nothing in football, okay? You got like one or two games and a lucky throw that beat the Steelers to go to the freaking first round of the playoffs. Get out of here with that. Which still to that day kills me. Oh, kills me. Talk about nightmares. That's one of them. Uh, and speaking of the Hall of Fame, it's going to be interesting because the Steelers always got guys going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, Troy went in this past one. Coward, Donnie Shell. Obviously, because of COVID, we didn't have the enshrinement, so they're going to combine them in 2021. Hines Ward is up for it. Now, Hines Ward, in my opinion, gets in. He gets in. He gets in first shot, because how can you not put a guy like Hines Ward in? He played that gritty, old-school style of football. He was up in your face, smash mouth. He could catch anything you threw to him. So to me he gets in, and everybody can say, well, you're just saying that because you're a Steeler fan and he's a Steeler, and I'm not just saying that because of that. I'm saying it because I watched his whole career and watched the way he played. He to me, he's a Hall of Fame wide receiver. I don't put him up there with Jerry Rice. I don't put him up there with Randy Moss, but he's that second tier wide receiver after guys like that. Yeah, he definitely is. And if you tell me he's not, then you never watch Hines Ward play then. And then for me, like with the Hall of Fame, you have to, obviously there's a criteria and there's numbers and there's stuff that these writers look for. And even like with Eli Manning is a prime example. Guy had a 500 win percentage. All right, he broke even. All right, but he has 2 Super Bowls. Okay, he has decent numbers, but what really gets him in is the fact of his last name. That's what a lot of people who don't like Eli Manning are gonna say. They'll look past his numbers, past his accomplishments, past his accolades and all that, and they're gonna say he got in because he's Peyton's brother. That's what they're gonna say, and that's something that really it annoys me with a guy like Eli Manning. And don't get me wrong, I make fun of Eli Manning with his all shucks face. He throws an interception. He's like, oh shucks, oh. Like whatever. Like it doesn't faze him, right? But if and the difference between him and Daniel Jones is this: is in that, and I'll use the recent game as an example. In that scenario, with the last 3+ minutes of the game, Eli only would have needed a minute and a half to get a touchdown for you guys. It took Daniel Jones that whole 3 minutes and 42 seconds to get you down the field. A risky throw on 4th down to get the first down. With Eli, that wouldn't have happened. There's just guys who have a knack for the 2-minute drill, and there's just guys who have to improve in it. And Eli was one of the best at doing it, like Ben was, and like Ben is, and even Brady and Rodgers. That's just something you learn over the years. That's just something that you learn, and it becomes another part of your skill set with the 2-minute drill. And Eli was another guy. Yeah, he made his Daniel Jones mistakes. Don't get me wrong. And Eli, like Daniel Jones too, also got unfair criticism. Giants fans and people around sports in general saying that game, and this one you have to put on Daniel Jones. You have to put it on him. You can't just say that a bad call at the end that was taken away, that wasn't a bad call, and then was deemed a bad call. You can't sit there and say that's what cost you the game when Daniel Jones threw 2 horrendous interceptions that literally I could have caught them from my couch. The way he threw them, I could have intercepted them. All right? I literally could have hopped in the TV and took it to the house. Okay? That game you have to put on Daniel Jones. And you could see it on the sidelines, and his body language says, oh, he looked like he wanted to cry. Okay? In no way, shape, or form right now am I dumping all over Daniel Jones. But in practice this week, Daniel Jones had better learned from those mistakes. You're playing the Washington football team this week. This is the game Daniel Jones has to show out or that's it. That's it. You want to salvage your season, this is where you start. You want to salvage your starting career, this is the game you do it in. You want to shut the haters up, this is the game you do it. All the doubters, this is the game you do it. You got to play mistake free. You got to cram it down their throats, and you better have a run game. You better have a run game. Alfred Morris ain't gonna be it for you. Gorman ain't gonna be it for you, and you can't. And your receivers got to catch what's thrown to them. I'm sorry, there was too many drop passes in that game that those I do not put on Daniel Jones when they're perfectly placed balls. I do not. I'm sorry, that's on the wide receiver. Again, you don't start looking to see where the ball is for another 5 to 10 yards after you pass the friggin' cornerback. That's just it. That's just it. It's I put those drop passes on Slayton. I put them on Shepard because Daniel Jones has got a good arm. For the most part, he's accurate. When he throws balls like that, those are balls they got to catch. If they catch those balls, and the other thing Daniel Jones got to learn is how to read the field when a man is wide open. And I also know that he doesn't have enough time in the pocket because the offensive line just it crumbles worse than a bag of Ritz crackers. Okay, I get that because I watched the game. I watched it because I watch every football game, and Daniel Jones at times had enough time in the pocket and everybody was covered. And then the times where he didn't have enough time in the pocket, everybody's wide open. The kid can't catch a break. But that falls on the offensive line. That part doesn't fall on Daniel Jones. But Daniel Jones has got to make the throws he's got to make without throwing interceptions. Listen, if Andrew Thomas can't protect you, and you know that guy's coming after you, chuck the shit in the ground. Chuck it in the ground. Throw it out of bounds. Or just take the sack. You can't just freaking throw it anywhere and expect nothing to happen. What happened twice. And it was funny because they caught it on a hot mic. I forget who it was that dropped it. What probably would have been a third interception for Jones. And he goes up to Jones. He tells him, "You better count your blessings, bitch." It's been interesting because with no fans, you can hear more of what's said on the field for the most part. And that's why, ESPN's literally got their finger on that friggin' delay button every 5 seconds. Because you know what's going to come out of their mouth. Every single time. You know what? Like, even with the Yankees this past year, when they were playing Tampa and Aaron Boone went nuts. And that was great to watch. And Michael K's apologizing. What are you apologizing for? The umpire sucked, made a bad call. Aaron Boone went out there and threw a friggin' tirade. I loved every minute of it. It was entertaining to me. But Daniel Jones has got to get it right this week. The Giants' offensive line's got to protect him. You brought in another weapon in Pettis, but I don't think he's going to be able to play, because with COVID protocols and everything, he'll probably be able to play next week. Unless miraculously he's activated for this game and can play. But again, the Giants to get another receiver, it's telling you, Golden Tate, bye-bye. Because either you're going to get released or they're going to cut you at the end of the year. And I think, and this is the issue with certain players, you've got to accept your role. You've got to accept your role. And you got to look at the other reasons why the ball's not getting to you. Like, maybe in practice, maybe you should get up in your offensive lineman's face and say, listen, you got to protect this friggin' kid, all right? How are we supposed to win a game when he's getting sacked and he's getting sacked and he's throwing interceptions because you can't protect him because now he's got to rush a pass out and he's not reading the field. He's not reading the field properly. That's what you should do. Instead of sitting there and letting your wife vent for you, okay? And not only that, I get everybody, everybody on social media wants to be a keyboard warrior and everybody wants to say what they want to say. And listen, I get it. But there's some things that should be kept internal within the team. This is one of them. And Joe Judge made an example out of you. That's it. Joe Judge is making you accountable for your shit. That's just it. Listen, I get you're providing for your family, Golden Tate, and I get it. But if I were you, I would have went to your wife and I would have said, listen, You can't be saying things like that on social media, you know, because now I'm going to get sent home from practice, or I'm going to get fined, or they're not going to play me, and it's just making the situation worse. Listen, I'm all for your wife wants to defend you and all that, but, and there's ways to do it without it being the way it was. I didn't read what she wrote, nor do I really give a damn what she wrote. Um, you know, I'm not Golden Tate, so it don't affect me. I'm not Golden Tate's wife, so it don't affect me. I really don't care what she said, but what she did say is affecting his livelihood. And and again, this is the game, Giants and Giants fans. That you need to win this one. Not that you're getting in the playoffs, but it's just to save face, salvage the season. You know, put on a little bit of a win streak, and you know you go into the off season. You know if you finish 7-8, 7-9, whatever it is, at least you didn't go 1-15 or 0-16 or 2-14, 3-13, 4-12. You know, at least you came back and almost went 500. And and I read somewhere Gettleman would actually draft Justin Fields if they get the second pick, which tells me the guy didn't know what he was doing in the first draft. Again, and you could say, Jim, we've been through this before, but if I read something like that, I'm gonna reiterate on it again. If you didn't have faith in Daniel Jones, if you get the second pick and you draft Justin Fields, that shows you have no faith in this kid going forward, that you don't even want to help him improve his game, or anything like that, and you're just gonna give up on him. So you wasted a prime pick on a partial experiment because you don't know how this experiment's gonna go. It's only his second season. You don't know where this experiment's going yet. You don't know. Um, you know, I'm sorry. You have the second pick. It's not a quarterback there. You have one. You have a quarterback. You got to take. You got to get an offensive guard who's gonna be able to protect Daniel Jones. You got to bolster that. And the Giant defense wasn't bad, but you got to strengthen up your secondary. Too many stupid penalties, and some of them. Yeah, and listen, I get it, Giants fans. Some of them were really questionable, and some of them were really ticky-tacky calls. Listen, I get it. I've been there. I've seen it. Listen, I'm a Steeler fan. We deal with it every week, and we've been dealing it every week since Moses parted the friggin' Red Sea, okay? I get it. But you're not the only team to deal with it, just like my team's not the only team to deal with it. I've seen it across the league for years now. And again, they got to be held accountable for bad calls. Because a bad call can change the outcome of a game. It can, and you could say it doesn't, but then you don't know sports for nothing then. Because it does. It really, it does. There's been, prime example, Jesse James calling that not a catch. We lost. When it was a catch, would have won. But oh, God forbid we beat Tom Brady, and God forbid that happens. God forbid you get the call right. But then in the Super Bowl you get it right. The same situation, and that's a catch. That's a catch. Okay. We're not going to beat a dead horse about it. We all know it was a catch. We're going to leave it at that. But if players got to be held accountable for their actions, then the NFL officials have to be as well. I've never once seen a fine for a bad call. I've never once seen, a suspension for a bad call. I've never seen it. When does that happen? If I'm the NFL Players Association and I'm the union, this is what I'm asking for. Ready? This is what I'm asking for in the next CBA whenever that comes up. And okay, ready? If we're held accountable for criticizing officials, then why aren't the officials criticized? Why are the officials not held accountable for the horrible calls of which we criticize them for? It's not a hard question to answer, and it's something that why can't they be held accountable? I'm curious as to what is it? I get the refs have their own union. And again, I'm not saying being a referee in the NFL or the NBA, the NHL, or Major League Baseball is an easy job to do, but you still got to get it right. Especially when it happens literally right in front of you, like literally right at the tip of your toes. You got to get it right. As you said, again, the Rams Saints. That's blatant pass interference and then some. Not called. And those are the calls I'm talking about. You know, they got to do something. And you know, and I get you trying to make the game safer and and all that. I get it. So you know, you're trying to protect the players at the end of the day. I get all that, but some of these calls, man, come the frig on. Come on. And how many that are missed? You know how many face mask penalties they miss a game? Quite a bit. Holding. A massive amount. It's just utterly insane. And they got to be held accountable for it. Um, but tonight's game's going to be interesting because now who does San Francisco put out there? Who do they put out there? Now you don't have Ayuk, you don't have Trent Williams, you don't have you know you got 13 guys on the IR. George Kittle, see now this is comical. George Kittle said despite a foot fracture he could play in 2 weeks. How's that possible? How's that possible? What are you friggin' bionic? We, like you could play with a fractured foot in 2 weeks. Which I'm sorry, George Kittle, you're still young and you still have a promising career. It's already started for you. Uh, there's no reason why you should go back out there. Your guy's season's done. You're not going to the playoffs. You're not making the wild card. Let it heal. Just like Trubisky. Just get the surgery, do whatever you got to do, heal up, and just come back next season. There's no point, especially when your team's not making the playoffs. Garoppolo, I think, just sits out the rest of the year. And what's interesting with Garoppolo is that if that opt out does come into play, uh, he's already being linked to Washington going after him, which tells you that they have no faith in Kyle Allen. Which tells you which tells you Alex Smith is going to be gone. If this is all if they sign, if Garoppolo opts out, or if they release him, whatever the opt out is, I still can't find if it's a player or team option. Maybe Garoppolo would be a good fit in Washington because it's a young core of players that are on the come up, and you know Ron Rivera is a good coach, and you see it's weird there because if you don't get Garoppolo, who starts next year? Because I read another report that says that they may go back to Dwayne Haskins. This after you wanted to trade Dwayne Haskins, then you're going to ask him to be your starting quarterback again? I tell Dwayne Haskins, that's where if I'm Dwayne Haskins, I go, no, I don't want to be, I'm not going to start for you. You wanted to trade me, remember? No. If you wanted to trade me, then just get rid of me and just release me now. That's it. So yeah, again, Green Bay Niner game is going to be very interesting tonight because I see a slaughter on our hands. Aaron Rodgers now is probably going to freaking throw for like 6 touchdowns and put up like 300-400 yards. Well, he's going to have to because I don't know who, because Jones is questionable. If Jones plays, it's going to be limited. I think his carries are going to be limited. But then again, who knows? Yeah, it's not going to be it's going to, don't say it's going to be a slaughter night. But then again, we all say it now, and it could be a completely different game, and San Francisco might be able to keep up with Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to have to wait and see. Again, as always, I know, and you say Jimmy say this in every video, but I just got to reiterate again. You know, I get that these videos, you know, they jump around, but it's just, you know, like I sit at home and I jot things down I want to talk about, but then other things pop in my head, and I feel like if I don't get it out, then I'm not getting it out. So I kind of just jump into that, and I kind of jump back into what I was discussing before. But the reason why I even started these videos is because I like to, obviously, I like to talk sports. You know, obviously, if you watch the videos, you know I know about sports. I'm just trying to make this interactive with me and everybody else out there. So again, you know, if you want to listen, I'll debate sports with you all day long. You know, I do it all day long I do it all day long at work. You know, when I don't have to answer the phones, everybody's talking sports at work. Um, don't be afraid to shoot me any questions. You know, again, I'm on Twitter, JP1382. You can email me. I gave it out in the other video. I'll do it again. JamesPlotner82 at iCloud.com. You know, if you live local by me and you want to do it, you know, you want to do a video, we could do a video debate. That's fine. Um, you know, just hit me up and let me know. Till then, stay safe. Peace.